Today in the book of Testimonies,
I want to encourage somebody who's sick today, who's had a failed marriage, who has a sick kid, and right now I know it feels like God isn't there, or I know it feels like, you kind of did everything right, but yet things still didn't work out. I want to encourage you that God is there, that He is present, and that although in that exact moment you don't know why things are going on how they are, but I want you to know that He's there and He's going to make everything work together for your good, according to His purpose for your life. Hey, I'm Pearl and I am from Houston, Texas, originally born in Liberia and relocated here 2000. Brother Romeo asked me to share something, and I've been thinking on it and praying on it for a couple of days, trying to decide where exactly do I share to encourage somebody. And do I share my entire life story, or do I share bits and pieces from what God has brought me out of, or what God has brought me through? I guess after thinking about it, after trying to take notes in my phone, trying to write it down, I came down to a Bible verse, and it's Romans 8:28. And it's basically that all things will work together for my good, according to God's purpose and plan for my life. And I decided to talk about, I guess, the last 5 years. So just everything God has delivered me from the last 5 years. 2015, I had my son, and my entire life kind of changed from then on. So 2015, I had him early, and he had to stay in NICU for 4 months. From NICU, he had to have heart surgery and just gastric surgery, a G-tube, just a long list of things that need to be fixed. And I remember the first day when I had him, I couldn't see him because I was sick. And my dad went downstairs and he came back and he said, if God brought TJ here, God's gonna do it. But when you're going through something, you don't wanna think, oh, God's gonna do it. You're angry, you're asking God why, you're trying to rationalize and understand why it's happening to you and why it happened in the first place. So my dad told me, he said, when I went downstairs to NICU, they were concerned that if he doesn't pee, then something's wrong. And he said instantly when the nurse said that something may be wrong with him because he's not peeing, he peed on her. And he said he laughed and he said, that's God just showing that he has TJ in his hands. Excuse me. Throughout the months, from NICU, from being discharged, he had to go back for heart surgery in August of 2016. And same thing again, my dad told me, stop worrying. God is working all this out for TJ's good. My mom always says, God is using TJ to be a testimony to encourage somebody that everything that they said that he would be, he's not. Just a long list of things. And I feel like how this correlates with my personal story is I was born with sickle cell disease. And so I know pain, I know struggle, I know the hospital. I know how much I wasn't hospitalized. I know just being alone in the hospital or having people feel sorry for you because you're sick. I know what it means to be sick. And because of that, growing up, I didn't understand why me, because out of all my siblings, I'm the only one with sickle cell disease. And growing up, I feel like, of course I'm loved and everybody cares for me, but I felt kind of lonely because when I'm sick, I go through it alone. I feel it, I deal with it. But I didn't understand growing up, adulthood, why I was sick or why I had to go through it. But after having my son, I realized that God kind of does everything for a reason. I'm not saying that God gave me sickle cell, but I'm saying that He gave him the grace to endure sickle cell crisis, to endure long hospital stays. He gave him the grace to just go through all that. So when I had my son, I could be so much more compassionate towards him, towards other moms who go through this, to other moms who didn't get to go home from NICU, to other moms who this is their whole life story, and it's my first time experiencing a baby born sick. So I feel like everything I went through prepared me to take care of him, to be the mom he needed to be, that he needed at the time, and that he needs now, following up and continuing care. They thought he had genetics issues that could lead to Down syndrome, and just really sad stuff that would have to be lifelong care. And I know when they told me, I hadn't seen him yet. So they came to my hospital bed and told me, his ears is a little low set. I think he might have Down syndrome, but we'll have to do a genetic test to make sure. And I broke down asking God why, because every parent goal is to raise your children to be good adults, go to college, get married, have kids. And I know some moms don't get to do that because their kids need them forever. If their kids have Down syndrome, if their kids have medical issues, they have to take care of their kids until they die. And I don't want that for any of my children. So I broke down asking God why again that day. But with all the testings, with everything, God didn't have that plan for TJ. TJ is healthy, he's smart, he's intelligent, he doesn't have Down syndrome. So just everything the doctors thought he would be, he isn't. Now, the last 3 years of my life, from the minute TJ was having heart surgery to just 2017, my marriage kind of broke down. And I had to question God why with that as well, because I felt like I did what was right. Married my first boyfriend, built a life together, had children. I just thought I was doing the right thing. But then I realized that Romans 8:28, everything was working together for my good. But then I realized that when I was going through it, I didn't understand why. Because in my mind, in my human mind, I felt like I did the right things, I took the right steps, and I still failed. I failed myself while I failed my children. But looking back, I feel like everything is working together for my good. Around the time my son has heart surgery, shortly after I found out my husband was cheating on me. So I went through just trying to heal from that and trying to make our marriage work, and it didn't work out. After filing for divorce and leaving home, my sickle cell attacked me and I had to have hip replacement. So 2017, I had my left hip replacement, and immediately after surgery, it popped out. So they had to take me back in and have another surgery. My blood pressure dropped, and just everything went wrong that could go wrong. So they thought I was gonna die, but God saved me again. I came home and I recovered. He did a botched job, so I had one leg longer than the other, and I was in chronic pain the entire year. In 2019, I had another surgery, same leg, and everything looked perfect. 10 days later, it popped out of place. So I had to have another surgery to put it back in. And it has been almost a year since my new hip replacement. And looking back, I didn't understand, why everything was going that way, but God worked everything out for my good. So with PT, with outpatient therapy, just everything that happened was for a reason, looking back was to slow me down, was to prepare me for what's to come next in life, was to help me realize that God is real. Because I feel like, because I have my degree in biology, because I know science, I feel like I thought surgery would be it. But even with surgery, I was still broken. I was still on the crutch. I was still on a walker for a long time. But when I depended on God and asked God to help me, and asked God to heal me, and cried out to God, yes, he used the surgeon, but I truly believe that God was the one who did a good work, who did it to perfection. And that's why I'm walking without a cane today. That's why I'm walking less pain-free today. That's why I'm walking and nobody could see that I went through all that. I guess taking genetics and getting a degree in biology, I understood that medical science and how it helps people, how it aids people, basically that it heals people. But after having my first surgery, and when I went to my first surgery, I was so sure that this would be it, that my hip would stop hurting, I'll kind of get back to my life. But that surgery in 2018 basically put a whole hold on my life. I don't know if the right word is crippled, but I was crippled for 2 years of my life because of my first surgery. And it took me breaking down and just, I guess, being honest with myself that I was sad, that I was depressed, that I didn't like how things were physically, emotionally, spiritually, how I felt about how my life had went from 2 years earlier, my son was born sick, and then now I'm having health issues in a failed marriage. So when I went back to have surgery 2019, I think I went a different mindset because I realized that, yes, God gives doctors wisdom and knowledge, but I realized that God is a great physician. And I realized that before surgery, I was terrified to go through it again. So I had to really pray and ask God that this time that He'll be the surgeon, that He'll heal me and He'll deliver me, that I wouldn't go into surgery thinking like, that once my surgeon does it, that's it, that I'm healed and I'm whole. I had to be fully dependent on God, that He was my healer, that He was my great physician, that once I was on that table, that yes, the doctors was there, but that His Holy Spirit would be there to perform surgery and to make sure I come out healed and whole and healthy. So 2019, I had my surgery, and yes, I went in just excited and just knew that things will go good. But then again, I got 10 days later, it popped out. And medically, the doctor felt like because the first surgeon had my legs uneven, that's why this leg wasn't holding in place. So 10 days later, I had a revision of the revision. And after that, I got sent to rehab. And I just kind of healed from there. But looking back on, I guess my last 4 years has been long. Looking back on the last 4 years, when I was going through those emotions and those moments of being broken, physically, mentally, spiritually, and trying to do things in my own will and in my own power, I realized that I couldn't, that nothing I did in my own strength worked out for me. Nothing I tried to do in my own strength worked out for me. But once I realized that God is all powerful and all loving, and He just is. He is, I am that I am. Once I realized that God had a purpose in my life, that God was a good God, that God was a good Father, that God was my protector, my healer, my physician, everything, I depended on Him, and I stopped trying to do things in my own strength. And once I stopped trying to do things in my own strength, He took control of everything. He worked everything out for my good. So I want to encourage somebody who's sick today, who's had a failed marriage, who has a sick kid, and right now I know it feels like God isn't there, or I know it feels like, you kind of did everything right, but yet things still didn't work out. I want to encourage you that God is there, that He is present, and that although in that exact moment you don't know why things are going on how they are, but I want you to know that He's there and He's going to make everything work together for your good, according to His purpose for your life. So 2020 is here, and I know that I'm healed, I'm whole, my son is healed, he's whole, and although we still have to keep track of, medical appointments and stuff like that, but prognosis and what he looks like now isn't the same. And even with me, as bad as my leg got messed up with surgery, the first time he broke my femur, just everything went bad. And with sickle cell and just where I am now, I know that God did this. I know that God is real. I know that God heals. So I just want to encourage you that whatever you're going through, that He is going to take you out of it. And I know, because I was in that place. When you're in that dark place, when you're sad and you're broken, you don't want to hear it. You want to be mad. You want to ask God why, you want to complain. But I promise you, because He did it for me, He'll do it for you. That all things will work together for His good, for your good, according to His purpose. And I think I'll go back and end with this. Romans 8:18 basically says our current suffering is nothing compared to the glory that God is going to reveal to us later. And I truly believe that. In short, I just want you to know, if you're going through something, that God is able, and God is a good father, and he's a good healer, a good protector. He's Jehovah Rapha. And I want you to know that whatever the situation is right now, I know you don't want to hear that it's going to get better, but it's going to get better. I know you don't want to hear that, it's going to work out, but it's going to work out better than you could imagine. To myself and to you that's watching, that God is a God who restores. And I know that whatever I've lost, whatever I've been through, that God is restoring, that God has restored. Because where I was 2 years ago looks like night and day to where I am now. So I want you to know that God is able, that your current suffering is nothing compared to the glory that God has, that God will reveal to you. That's it. I hope you're encouraged.